From News Channel 5, Cleveland's live 24-hour news source continues. Brought to you by Ohio Edison.
Good evening. Saddam Hussein seems to be buying time tonight, but for what, no one knows.
The Soviets told Saddam that you can fax us your response to our peace plan. However, instead, the Iraqi foreign minister is going back to Moscow.
No one knows what the answer is, and very soon it may not matter.
One way or another, the Army of Occupation of Iraq will leave Kuwait soon. And so, Kuwait will be liberated soon.
The last time Secretary of State James Baker said something would happen soon, it was just days before the bombing of Baghdad began. In Paris, the French foreign minister says Iraq has only until Thursday night to respond to the Soviet plan, and that response must be an unconditional withdrawal from Kuwait. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, Allied troops keep watch on their Iraqi counterparts, so close they can see the enemy tanks. Meanwhile, loudspeakers attack the Iraqi psyche. The message is, you have suffered enough, give up. And that is exactly what some 500 Iraqi troops did today. After Apache helicopters bombarded Iraqi bunkers, so many surrendered that bigger choppers had to come in to gather them up. And one other important note here tonight about the possibility of a ground war. U.S. commanders in the Gulf say they have evidence that Iraq plans to use chemical weapons if the Allies attack. Sources also say they've learned from POWs and other intelligence that Scud missiles armed with mustard gas and grenades filled with cyanide gas are available for Iraqi use.
Now, as for the people who live in Baghdad, they know very little more about the Moscow peace plan than what they've heard on Iraqi radio lately. But they are ready. They are ready for the war to end. During the day, Baghdad streets are mostly quiet. Hano Yaku works for the power company, but right now there's no work, and his two kids have had no school for 5 weeks. On a side street, a man with nothing more to do than to ride a child's bicycle in his bathrobe, and nearby kids on bikes and playing in the street. The kids who live here speak openly, mostly of their fear.
I can't sleep in the night.
Really?
Bum, bum.
And then this young girl had a question of her own.
Why did the American hit us? Why?
ABC's Bill Blakemore talked to many in Baghdad today. He says people here used to like America, but now they're bitter because of what they say America is doing to them.
They will do whatever they want.
And when the sun sets, the people go inside and wherever possible into bunkers. In spite of plans of peace, the coalition bombing is not letting up.
An airliner carrying mostly American tourists crashed tonight, leaving at least 19 people dead. The Chilean airliner with 72 people aboard crashed into a freezing channel near the southern tip of Chile. Tonight, officials say the plane apparently crashed shortly after takeoff. They were en route to Antarctica. No other details are available. And another group of tourists has been evacuated from one of the world's largest cruise ships because of fire. A Sovereign of the Seas cruise line spokesman says damage was confined to a show lounge and service areas in the rear port of the 880-foot ship. The 14-deck ship was anchored in San Juan Harbor when the blaze broke out. More than 3,000 passengers and crew were evacuated. The ship was due back in Miami tonight.
And locally, a hazardous materials response unit was called on late this afternoon. A fire at Circuit Design Technologies in Bedford Heights made for some very tense moments today. An employee who was pouring sodium hydroxide into sulfuric acid and some nearby tarps caught on fire. The sprinkler system came on and put the fire out before firefighters eventually arrived. Both buildings, by the way, next door were evacuated, but all employees were back at work within the hour. There were no injuries there. Tonight, one man is dead after he shot and killed himself in front of police. Police say a 50-year-old woman on Fern Hill in Parma called 911 this afternoon to report a robbery. Authorities say 17-year-old John Morandi broke into her home demanding her car keys. There was a brief struggle, but the woman was unharmed. Officers arrived at the scene, and the suspect then killed himself with a rifle he was carrying. An eyewitness watched as the drama unfolded.
I was watching, and the police kept going back and forth with their rifles and guns, and then I saw the guy standing in the back, and then I heard a shot, and he fell.
Police are calling this tonight a robbery-suicide, and they are investigating a possible link to drugs.
And the 1990 census figures for Ohio's major metropolitan cities are in. The numbers are not encouraging. The Cleveland metropolitan area has slipped from the 11th largest to the 13th largest city nationally. However, as David Christopher tells us now, city officials are not about to let the numbers stop the city's rebirth.
It's the hub of a fast-growing regional business community.
Despite the latest numbers, the Cleveland Growth Association is continuing to aggressively market Cleveland as the city of the 90s, but the numbers will make it tougher.
A lot of government investment is based on these sorts of numbers, and so it's not good news in terms of government spending.
Cleveland is by no means alone. 9 of Ohio's 10 largest cities saw a loss of population, with only Columbus showing a 12% gain.
A lot of that loss is population moving from the city into the suburbs, surrounding suburbs. We also see some out-migration from our region into the Sun Belt cities as well.
Selling says Cleveland has seen a 12% loss of population. He says that will hurt the city in many ways, from congressional redistricting to the tax base.
The tax base is eroded. Property values for homes in the city of Cleveland have been declining and will decline relative to other places in the region.
While the Cleveland census numbers are far from encouraging, the 12% population drop from 1980 to 1990 is nowhere near as bad as the 24% population drop from 1970 to 1980. David Christopher, News Channel 5.
Statewide, Ohio's population grew only 5% in the census to 10,847,115. Well, what makes an X-rated movie illegal in one place and very legal someplace else?
We're going to hear some opinions on that particular question, Wilma, as Bill Shield continues his series, Sex, Crime, and Videotape. Up next.
Some people count on Ohio Edison a little more than others, and they know they can. Hundreds of customers using electrically powered life support systems in their homes count on Ohio Edison people to keep track of them in the event of service interruptions. You can count on Ohio Edison.
And others can count on us for information on how to use energy wisely, and they get just what they need the way they need it. You can count on Ohio Edison. Ohio Edison. Count on us. Count on us.
Beautiful broccoli. Hi, we make broccoli with cheese sauce. You selling?
You use dried cheese.
Dried?
Bird's Eye uses cheddar cheese. Disodium guanylate?
It's the latest.
I'll stick with Bird's Eye.
Bird's Eye broccoli with cheese sauce. No artificial flavors, real cheddar cheese.
Hello, Bird's Eye? Yeah, you hiring?
Bird's Eye, now in a microwave tray.
The thoroughly modern and aerodynamic design was a surprisingly courageous decision, one that we applaud for its solid step into the future.
What knocked us out was the incredible control and maneuverability Caprice Classic LTZ brings to the party. And for that, we gave it this party favor.
Chevrolet Caprice Classic is Motor Trend Car of the Year.
It's destined to be an important car on the American scene.
From News Channel 5, you are watching the news at 11 with Ted Henry and Wilma Smith, Sports Director Nev Chandler, and Don Webster with the weather.
In Washington, there is a task force of government lawyers with one mission: to stamp out obscenity.
And as part of that, they are now going after video porn with a vengeance.
That effort is just now hitting full stride with a major test case in the Southwest. Tonight, in the second part of his series, Sex, Crime, and Videotape, Bill Shield looks at the odds of that effort spreading to Cleveland.
Come on, just a little kiss, one little peck.
Of course, adult movies go a lot further than just a little pecking. Up until now, Cleveland has been a center of obscenity prosecutions, with the man behind the mask, alleged porn king Reuben Sturman, being the focal point. Sturman's now out on appeal of tax convictions, and the focus has shifted to here, Tulsa, Oklahoma, near where the FBI recently conducted a major sting operation. This is one of the movies mailed to FBI undercover agents.
We swear our undying loyalty.
It's called Sorority Pink 2, and it ends in a 12-way lesbian orgy. The Tulsa prosecutor says he brought charges because he believes the movie is obscene, and mailing it across state lines is a crime, not because of reasons the defense has suggested.
We did not go out and say, because you're a conservative area, we're going to prosecute it there.
Right now, there's no evidence that the government investigation is spreading to more metropolitan areas like Cleveland. But even the prospect that it could worries those in the adult film business, including this woman, porn superstar Hayapeisha Lee.
Certainly we're on the chopping block also, and not just in little places like Broken Bow, but everywhere. You know, one thing leads to another.
Still, one scientific study suggests convincing a jury in Cleveland that X-rated videos are illegal would be very tough. When asked basically, is graphic nudity and sex in videos acceptable for those adults who want to view them, 72% of Clevelanders said yes.
The people in Cleveland accept the notion that adults have and ought to have the right to view and read sexually explicit materials.
And since, according to the Supreme Court, local standards are to be used in deciding what's obscene and what's not, it might be a long time before a sorority pink case is filed in Cleveland. Bill Shield, News Channel 5.
Well, tomorrow night at 11, Bill wraps up his series with a look at the question of privacy. Now, if you want to watch it, is there any reason why the government should be able to stop you?
When you get up for work in the morning, you might find it hard to drive all the way to the office.
That is without detouring to a golf course. Don's weather forecast is coming up next.
3% financing for up to 48 months. That's 3% financing or cash back from Ford. Plus, if you choose, make no payment till June. But hurry, 3% financing ends February 28th, and it's only available at Ford dealers in these counties. Another reason your Ford dealers are winning Ohio over.
My mama told me you don't have to shop around. Shop and find it.
Shop for Mardi Gras decorator paper towels, only 69 cents. Flow-through Lipton tea bags, 100-count box, $1.99. Family packs of whole chicken breasts, 88 cents a pound. And save on advance sale tickets to the Home and Flower Show.
My mama told me you don't have to shop around.
First-class shopping, total lower cost. Finest.
Hey, get a load of the Sears Cleanup Spectacular at Sears Brand Central. It's America's biggest laundry event of the year, where virtually every washer and dryer brand's on sale. GE, Whirlpool, Speed Queen. This week, this extra large capacity 7-cycle Kenmore washer's only $358. Matching dryer, $288. Nice pair. The Sears Cleanup Spectacular. Better hurry, because before you can say spin cycle, it's over.
John Wayne, Glenn Campbell, True Grit, Late Night Wednesday.
We had a little bit of sunshine throughout northern bit, but at least there was some. More coming tomorrow?
Did you
More
see
what?
that too?
Yeah, I saw that. I missed something here.
Yes.
What was that?
Gremlins are